Hey everybody, welcome to On the Glide Slope. Long day at the office today. Just thought I'd take a little leisure flight. Nothing too serious, nothing too hard to edit, but thought it might be fun to record. Someplace I've never been, Crater Lake, Oregon. Taking off from Beaver Marsh State Strip, which is 2S2 on the charts. Flying to Prospect State Strip, which is 64S. Beaver State is a dirt strip. We're going to fly directly over Crater Lake, maybe loop it a few times, and then land at Prospect State. Might do a couple power off procedures in flight, maybe a couple of stalls just to keep practicing my real world skills. And that's it. Nothing much more to it than that. So I'm going to get the MEDAR here. Nothing nearby, so hard to know. But I do know the altitude of this strip is 4,600 feet, so we should be able to get ourselves set based on that. So, thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the flight. Okay, let's try to get things started up here. Mixture rich, prop full, flaps up, trim wheel adjusted a little bit, battery on, alternator on, beacon on, fuel pump on, prime the pump, fuel flow here, magnetos to start. I'm running Tom Tsui's new 182 gauges for the Cessna 182 from A2A Simulations. Fuel pump off. It's great. We now have manifold pressure and fuel flow, an accurate RPM gauge. Also, the latest SPAD Next has made much better anti-aliasing for the gauges. So everything looks great. Avionics on, taxi on. We'll just punch in 64S into the chart, presuming it works, and be on our way as the motor starts to warm up.
TOS system test OK.
Okay. We know our altitude here is 4638, so we can adjust our barometric pressure to reflect that. 4638, so about there. Is about right. No other weather to get. Orbix actually has some folks rendered here. There's a helicopter, dog walking by, some people doing their thing. So I'm going to make a few more checks here, and then we'll be ready to go. Here we go. I'm going to lean this fuel flow a little bit. We are configured for a short field takeoff. 10 degrees of flaps, fuel pump on. We will get ourselves some power here. Pop the brakes. This is a dirt strip here. Airspeed's alive. Airplane wants to fly, so we'll let it. Need a lot of right rudder. Now, mistake here to retract the flaps, because the flaps are actually giving us lift. We would sink if we retracted the flaps, so we're just gonna fly. We've got real world weather running with Active Sky Next. Weather's good here today, clear. Okay. We are off. We'll make a turn on heading. Now we can probably take those flaps up. There's that sink I was predicting. Retrim the airplane. And we're on our way. And now, thanks to Tom's gauges, we can get our manifold pressure set right around 24. And then we can lean the airplane to be just south of the peak pressure. There we go. And we're on our way. Okay, we're just a few more minutes along. One of the nice things about the accuracy of these simulations is here we've got my checklist for the 182 telling me that en route climb should be 110 to 100 to 120 miles an hour. We can't climb at that rate at this altitude, but that our power should be about 23 inches of manifold pressure and 2450 RPM. So we can back off the RPM just a little bit to 2450. Which is about right there. And our manifold pressure to about 23 inches. Which is about right there. And now the airplane should perform pretty close to how it's supposed to perform. Maximum power for climb and fuel flow, and that's what we're looking for. And that's one of the great things about these simulations is they're very accurate, especially A2As. So, that's Crater Lake in front of us. That's the mountain, Mount Scott. And we're going to fly right over that crater and the lake. Now while we're here, right now we are at about 8,700 feet, and it's about 5,000 feet below us. So this would be a good time to practice some of our maneuvers. So let's practice a power off stall. So we will back down to about 1,500 RPM, full prop, a little more mixture, and we're on the back end of the power curve, so we actually have to have the right amount of power to fly. We don't want to descend, so holding level, which we're doing, trimming the airplane, 65 knots now. We're getting pretty close to stall speed, like we were landing. There, and we'll kill the power, hold the airplane, no yoke, no yoke, no yoke, back, back, no elevators. We're still flying. This is with no flaps, so the stall speed is a bit higher than it would normally be. The airplane doesn't want to stall. There we go. Full power, nose down to get airspeed. Oh, we induced a spin. So throttle, elevator forward, reverse rudder. And that is proper spin recovery. So why did we spin there? Because I was too far into the elevators when I hit the power, which is not what you want to do. So the fact of the matter is, if that was on final, we probably just killed ourselves. Luckily we're not, which is why we practice. Now, we don't have a lot of altitude here to practice the power on stall, but we're getting close to the lake, so we'll give one a shot. So let's presume that we are at 1,500 RPM, that we are on takeoff. And we take off, slow the airplane down. Okay, we're in slow flight, 1,500 RPM, just a little more than that. Okay, now full power like takeoff, and elevator up. Our airspeed's dropping. Pull them back. Very important to steer with the feet here and not the nose, or to steer the nose with the feet, not the ailerons, because the ailerons will spin the airplane. There's our stall. Nose down. Let the flare plane level itself off, gain speed, and now we're at 80, we're okay. Alright, so some fun procedures there. In the meantime, we have come over Crater Lake. And since this is a simulation, let's have some fun. Let's dive down into this baby and fly around the rim a little bit. I've never been here in real life. I'd love to see it. Nothing can do it justice in terms of how beautiful and blue it is, I'm sure, in the real world. Our textures are loading a little slowly. I upgraded to Prepar 3.4. I haven't quite tweaked some of my settings yet, including texture loading.
Terrain ahead.
Let's inhibit that. As you can see out the side windows, we're down below the rim here. Pretty cool. Reflections of the train on the water are great. Okay, let's power up and go land. There's the island off our side. With the cone. You can actually see the cone. That's pretty cool. Okay, our next stop, not very far, Prospect State. It's 16 miles. That's going to be about 5 or 6 minutes, maybe 7. Over the rim we go. At very least. No wind at Prospect, so we're just going to have to try to trust that it's coming from generally the west, which is where it would be, and we won't make a straight in because straight in landings are sort of, I think, uncool to do in case there's somebody in the pattern who isn't paying attention. So we will cross over the field to the northwest side, I'm sorry, and then we'll make our left traffic into runway 02. Get our horizontal, our heading indicator, our course indicator here set to 02 because that'll help us visualize our approach. I have no idea the winds. Another reason you would fly over the field or by the field would be to check the windsock. And we need to start looking for the airplane about now. Or for the nice job of the haze from active sky. And we need to start looking for the airport pretty soon here. It's in this valley. Right in front of us. So, and it is at 2,500 feet, and we're up at 8,000, well, we're up at 7,700 feet. So we're going to need to see it and then make a descent, planned descent while we get into the pattern. And actually, I think it's over this next hill. So let's get some altitude over that. Down here is also the little town of Prospect. Just past it is Lost Creek Lake. Mountains below us here are at about 7,500 feet. At the high ones, 65 for the low ones. So Prospect, let's see if we can get any kind of MEDAR for it. The nearest is 30 miles away. It's saying that the barometer's...
Viper, November 1, Kilo Sierra, taking off runway 18, departure to the east.
Yeah, we're going to switch to 122.8 because that's our CTAF frequency for this airport. On 122.8. On 2, we can switch to 121.5, so we're monitoring the guard frequency, which is probably what we would do in real life. You can switch to both. Okay, down in this valley, through the haze, there's going to be an airport. Now we need to start looking for it. It should be right down in here. I can see the road running through Prospect. It says the field is right along the road. It's a 4,000 foot asphalt strip. Any other remarks? 80 foot to 100 foot trees within 200 feet of runway on both sides. Turf tie down in an area is rough. Airport closed September through something. Runway 20, unlighted trees. Trees obscure view. Alright, well, be careful is what it sounds like to me. Oh, I think I can see the strip right in front of us. I think that's it right there. Yeah, I think so. So we are going to just set up for the downwind leg. I'm sorry, we're going to set up for the upwind leg and see how we do. Got a little bit to go between now and then. I may just record the whole time if the battery holds out. This feels like the West. I like it. All right, we're about 5 miles from the field now. That's definitely it. Okay, well, we've got a checklist here for landing, preparing to land. Fuel selector to both. It is. Mixture is rich. Power carb is desired. We don't have carb heat because this is a fuel-injected airplane. Again, we're going to be looking for about 3,500 feet, so we're getting closer to pattern altitude. Seatbelts, harnesses secure. Cowl flaps closed. Mixture rich. Prop full. Okay. So we'll fly by the field and see how things look. Doing about 127 knots, we can start to slow things down a little bit. Prospect 8 traffic, Skyline 15 Juliet Golf is just about to enter the upwind leg for left pattern into 20 Prospect. pattern altitude. And I don't know that the sim has the runway laid out on exactly the same headings. A little low here, let's gain a little. Canyon right by the airfield. Let's check it out. Okay. We're a little close on our pattern. So we'll just turn straight to the numbers. And runway 2 is about right there, so we're at the numbers. Okay, so cut our throttle. First notch of flaps. What am I thinking about? We're setting up to land on the other direction. So a great example of being tasked and not paying attention. So we're not making a landing on that. We're flying onto our crosswind leg now. So we'd call prospect, tell them that we're earning crosswind. That's the kind of thing that gets you hurt in the real world, but you know, you don't write things down. And I did say I was just flying to have fun, but still, that's a big mistake. There's the strip. As at least this will allow me to get the downwind right. About here. Prospect traffic. 15 Julie Golf turning downwind for 20 prospect. It's not a pattern I usually fly. I don't usually enter on the upwind. I usually enter on the downwind, so that's some of it also. The habits you build are the habits you tend to keep, so got to be aware of that. Okay. Here we are. I like this much better in terms of setting up the airplane. Pretty. Boy, that looks almost real. 3.4 is performing very well for me. Getting very nice frame rates. I can't quite see what they are, but they feel like they're locked at 30, which is where I try to keep them. Okay, now we're doing things the right way. Now we're abeam the numbers. Now we can kill our throttle. First notch of flaps. Fuel pump on, landing lights on. Start driving the airplane downhill, trim. Feels about right. Feels just about 45 degrees behind us. Call our base leg. Prospect, 15 Julie Golf, turning base, 420, prospect. Next flaps, good. Airplane keeps slowing. Gear is set, prop is full, mixture is rich. We overturned the airstrip just a little bit, but we've got plenty of space. Full flaps.
500.
And we won't try to skid into it. We're going to turn the airplane into that heading. Okay. Here we come. Damn it. Well, the one-hopping runway adventures continue in the Cessna 182 from our friends at A2A. Nonetheless, we're here. Approach was a little steep, that was part of the problem. But you know, I was full out of the throttle there at the end, and we were just cruising down the airport, cruising down the runway. And in the real world, that airplane would be sinking. But so it goes. It's getting better. It wasn't a cruncher. You didn't hear the gears rattle. But we did bounce it once. Okay, well, so here we are. That was a little trip around Crater Lake. And here we will say that we're clear, but back taxiing, put up the flaps, turn off the fuel pump, turn off our landing lights, turn off the navs, they're off anyway, beacon is still on, taxi's on, that's good. Pretty airstrip. I like how they've got the fence around the whole thing. It sits here on this hill, surrounded by trees, just like it says in the remarks. And that's a straightforward flight here from on the glide slope. You know, it's interesting, I had a real world lesson scheduled for today, and the winds were sort of sketchy and the ceiling was dropping, and I had been working hard all day. And my CFI and I were talking about it, and I said, you know, you gotta pay attention to the human factors here, and the human factors here are that I'm not quite, don't have my head in the game. And so we're gonna fly on Friday. But I sort of felt that way with this, you know, I didn't handle the stall recoveries very well. I almost turned base when I was really turning crosswind, and the landing was okay. I mean, considering I had to come in over those trees and that hills, I mean, the approach was about right. It was a little steep. If you look ahead, it has to be steep because there's all that stuff right at the end of the runway. So, you know, maybe a good thing I didn't fly today. Orbix, great touch. I can't believe they have this little teeny airport out in the middle of nowhere rendered. It's got the fuel tank there. It's got a couple of Cessnas sitting here on the ramp, some cars, and a couple of guys here barbecuing at their camper. There's even a porta potty. Great taste, or great touch. I don't know if it's great taste to have a porta potty, but it's a great touch. So I don't know if you can see the guy there with the smoke coming up off his barbecue next to his camper. And the porta potty, I can read it, you probably can't, even says honey bucket on it. So great details, Orbix, well done. Okay, we're here, we made it, human factors and all. So we will lean out the throttle, lean out the mixture, turn off the avionics, kill the beacon and the taxi, magnetos off, off with the power, off with the lights, and another flight in our home simulator. Thanks for watching. Bit different this time to just sort of narrate the whole way through. Hope you guys thought it was okay. I had fun doing it as always, and look for the next episode of On the Glide Slope.